Hello everyone, I'm CZ Lumen, and this is StarCraft 2. What I have for you here is a Protoss versus Terran, with Protoss in the upper right-hand corner, and Terran playing in the bottom left-hand corner of the map of Ancient Cistern LE. I have been posting a lot of Applejuice's games. Both these players are Grandmasters, according to the website that I pulled this match on, and it looked like there's some diversity of forces, so this should be a fun game. It doesn't last for too long, promise. It's like it's less than 15 minutes, so. And we'll see if we have any good battle breakdowns, or if this is just going to be a good slugger match, or a slugfest between these two individuals. No fast command center for the Terran or the Protoss, so it looks like we're going to have some pretty standard openings of a nice, safe one base build up, that tech tree, before expanding. Of course, we have Terran setting up this wall off here, so that way like adepts and can't like shade in and investigate what's going on here, because you want to make sure that your opponent at least thinks there's kind of some shenanigans that might be going on behind your base. Just a word of mental health for those that do play. Just know that these games are difficult. They are designed to be difficult. And no matter where you are on the ranking system, as you improve through the game, you're going to be set up against players who are peer to your skills. And so that means you're going to have a lot of cheese matches. Wow, look at this. Both of these guys put down their second base, or their expansion pretty quickly, with a Zealot and probably a Stalker here about to like pop out. But yeah, just be aware that like when you're playing a game like this, it's a very competitive game. It's a very competitive feel. No matter what you do, you're going to be playing against difficult players. Like that is the whole design process of this game. So don't take it personally. It's okay to feel challenged and like you're failing a lot of times, because your win-fail rate is going to be about 50%. And it's okay to have bad days, and it's okay to like bask in your glory of success. So all we can do is learn from like the pros and how they play, improve your micromanaging skills, such as this right here. Is this Reaper is trying to get, he got one probe, which is pretty nice, and then we have the Zealot over here that's trying to do as much harassing as possible, but it's not really going to get done a whole lot done. Supply depot coming up just before that. Zealot, oh, does he get the kill? Zealots are pretty tough. Does survive with 7 hit points, so he needs to chill out here and avoid that fire as long as possible. And that range, see, range really does like help you out just a little bit. And now you can just like peck away at the base up here. And now he's stuck. As we can see here, the Zealot is recovering their shields pretty quickly. I think it's two hit points per second is what the shields are, which sounds kind of broken when you think about it, right? Like, Protoss have the ultimate ability to attack and then like just like attack, take some damage, withdraw, and then attack again as their shields basically are just like recharging. Compared to like Terran, you have to have medevacs, or you have to like manually repair vehicles. All the Protoss units have those shields, and it's something I've always wondered is why I know the shield. Where's the forge? Oh no, forge is coming up. So forge allows you to like research things, and so you get a +1 shields, which just mitigate damage as much as possible, and that affects everything as far as I know. So, but it's a very expensive. I think it's like 100. It's like 200 or something like that, just to get to like the level 1. So it is not a cheap upgrade. But we aren't seeing any upgrades here. But we are seeing a Dark Shrine, and normally what we see after a Dark Shrine are Dark Templar. But we're going to see if there's anything else that happens here. Wood of Mind drop is coming up. Now, also, just something to note, micromanaging, or macro-managing, all of these these things here is a lot of work. And that's why I try to focus here on, like, here, this is this is the screen of this player, right? Okay, we're gonna slow it down. There we go. So this is a regular speed here. This is what they pay attention to. You don't necessarily get to like see. That was a hell of a hit. Oh my goodness. It's like 8 probes went down in that. Dude, just run. That was you just gained. That was a massive lead there. Although I guess it wasn't really much of a lead. The worker count is 34 to 36. So with the first number being the Protoss player. But yeah, this is just like pay attention here, and you see that, and even like half of the screen here, like a third of the screen is taken up by just clutter. I don't think you can disable that. So yeah, this is how it is. The comparison between like what they see versus what we see. And so now I can like just expand that, and I can zoom out. Look at this. Like just look at that difference. Like I can see all of this vision here versus players just like, yeah. Anyway, I think you should be able to zoom out just a little bit more, but that's all right. Dark Templar does make it back home alive. Trades have not been favoring Protoss at all. I mean, if this keeps up, then yeah, that's a 5 times trade difference there, but usually it's going to balance out here in just a little bit as larger and larger forces start squaring off. Although Terran is normally pretty good at really hunkering down and dealing lots and lots of damage. So I don't see this this too often with Terran, and I'm always appreciative because I don't think there's any kind of build that doesn't benefit from a Raven. These guys, not only they're detectors, they don't have any direct combat skills, but they do have a turret that they set down that is actually pretty big force to be reckoned with. They also have a missile that hits an AoE area that reduces the armor by I think 2, which basically means all incoming damage is improved by 2 points. I know that doesn't sound like much, but I believe Marines deal 4 damage. So that +1 or that -1, like that's significant. You can see their hit points there. Can't see like their attacks and stuff like that. So we do have +1 completed ground weapons and for both sides, and we do have the 3rd expansion coming up, or I guess the 2nd expansion technically. But good little drop over here, knocking this out. Didn't really get a whole lot of work done by the looks of it. Dark Templar did spawn out of that, and then which just helps with reinforcements. If you have something like that as the Protoss player, it does let you attack and reduce the travel time of getting your reinforcements there. But Terran is going to be facing off against this monstrosity of an army. We have 2 Archons. This is not something I normally see. We have a lot of Zealots, just a few Stalkers and Archons. I mean, this is not a usual fighting force that I see here. That's a lot of Zealots. This will be pretty interesting here. We have the Battle Breakdown. We have lots of Zealots. 18 Zealots, 3 Stalkers, 2 Archons, and a Sentinel. Is there a Sentinel in here? There he is. So that Sentinel has this ability that's going to give a +2 to armor. Not really armor, but like a +2 versus ranged attacks. Now, I believe coding-wise, that basically just blankets all of these units, that all ranged weapons suffer a -2, whether or not you're inside or outside of the shield. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, it does produce a bubble, and that bubble should encapsulate most of this army. This is versus a Raven right here, which is a good support unit. And we're going to see if now the missile that I talked about only affects armor. So once the shields are down, then the armor is actually affected, and that's when these guys are going to start doing bonus damage. We have 3 medevacs actually here, all grouped up. Lots of Marines, lots of Marauders, and 2 siege tanks. My guess here is that these guys are going to come in. Siege tanks are going to be delayed a little bit because they're going to go into siege mode instead of just like shooting regular. Now the pros and cons to that is that siege tanks, when sieged up, they do splash damage, but their fire rate is reduced by half. So it takes them a longer time to fire, and that means that these guys can probably get like a couple shots in. If they hit a group, it's worth it because they do a lot more damage, but it's mostly splash damage. which can help because it just weakens the forces, and you got to knock out those shields as much as possible. If they stay in the regular tank mode, they deal faster damage. They have about the same DPS, but it's toward a target, which means that they can knock out targets faster. And so that's the pros and cons of it, of like the target fire. Do you want to knock out enemies faster right now or faster in the long run? And that could make or break a battle when you think about it, because all units here are 100% effective down to their last hit point. So we're going to see how this plays out. Go ahead and make your guess here. I'm guessing this is going to be an engagement. Leave it in a comment below if you think that Terran is definitely going to obliterate this force, if the Protoss are going to obliterate this force, or if it's going to be a stalemate, or they're just going to dance around. We're going to see this here. I'm going to slow it down as much as I can. So now we do have this slow path. Archon coming in here, getting in that. There's that missile that reduces armor. Now that, again, that's not a big deal until those shields are down, and we have that Zealot here whose shields are down. Protoss does decide to lead away. There is that +2 to defense shield by that sentry. All of these guys are lost their shields. They're doing a really good shoot and scoot. Those siege tanks do siege up, and they do go down pretty quickly. And now we have a battle of mostly, it looks like a lot of the Marines got really knocked out here. But they do manage to knock out this mining base, which is a pretty big economic impact here. Because now, even though it's 53 to 62 workers, Terran or Protoss is going to have to deal or juggle that with 2 bases. Never mind, 3 bases. They have 3 bases. Oh no, I thought they had that 3 base ready. Here we go. So we have another fight. These guys are going to go in and try to do as much like actual damage as possible. We have 3 stalkers, which isn't necessarily going to do a whole lot to this unless the Terran lets them. But Terran is just here surgically attacking those tech buildings, which is going to reduce the production options of the Protoss player. Just like watching these guys like not doing anything. Where did that Raven get knocked out? I feel bad for that Raven. Where's that Raven? The Raven's just right there. Raven just decided not to fight, I guess, but that's fine. Anyway, three tech buildings do go down, leaving, so like the cybernet, there's the research facility for the, here we go. Another fight breaking out over here. Trying to knock out as much as they can. We got a Widow Mine that's been like deployed here. Now these guys here, these Archons, they do massive splash damage with slight range, and I mean they're big boys. Not only that, but they are all shields. They have 10 hit points each, but you can see their shields, 350 shields. It's a pretty big number. Ghosts have an EMP which knock out shields, and that can be extremely damning to a force, especially like here, because I think EMPs do bonus damage to shields, but they just knock out energy and shields and can just greatly turn the tide initially. And then the Protoss would have to like run away in order to try and avoid damage because you don't have any shields. And they would have to just like regenerate their shields as fast as possible. We have another drop attack over here. Smart move by the Terran player. This Terran is really keeping this Protoss player on their heels with these multiple attacks. And these multiple attacks here, this like constant like harassment is going to stress out this Protoss player a lot. So not only like is this Protoss player trying to figure out how they're going to defend this base, which it looks like it is definitely going to go down, even though we have some units over here that are just having a little bit of a smoke break. This, yeah, there we go. Now he's starting to engage that. And you can tell, like, the Terran player was preoccupied with other things before getting... If all those forces were attacking, that probably would have been down, but because that looked like it was reduced by 50%. But it looks like he's going to try to target fire that base as fast as possible, which, again, it just doesn't make it. That would have been completely turned around had those forces been actively shooting. And that's, I don't know, things like that happen. Oh, I feel bad for these SCVs. They're going to have to go walk all the way around this. They might end in their death here. We do have a proxy warp gate going to warp in some of these Zealots here, which are going to get spotted by this sensor tower. And yeah, it's going to be a nice little run. Not really a pincer attack, but we do have attacks coming in from 2 slightly different angles going into the same area. Protoss just decides to tap out. That was rough. That was a rough game for the Protoss. I feel bad for them. Probably like heavy losses. Yeah, pretty much on near ×2 losses for the Protoss player. Even though he did hold on to the space, just the economy, especially 47 to 73. That's with like having to rebuild all that tech and rebuild the bases and try to. Wow, Protoss really doesn't have anything right now. That's wild compared to like look at this SimCity, right? we have production facilities. we have this like we have a pretty good fighting force over here. Army supply is 36 to 92. That's a massive lead. The Raven didn't die. He got 4 kills. Good for him. Good job, Raven. Probably, I think, yeah. You have no idea when like a Raven is bad to have. Like as far as I'm concerned, in terms of like Terran play, I have no idea when you wouldn't want a Raven. Like I think they're expensive too, though. Like they aren't cheap. And they do take a little bit of time to build, but they're spellcaster unit and they provide just a lot of utility. This is this is when Protoss decides to tap out. What is Protoss looking at? So yeah, this is what Protoss sees. They see this and they're like, no, I'm not. I'm done. Like I can't fight this. One Dark Templar in the mix. He's gonna get detected here pretty quick. Sentry, 12 Zealots, and like yeah, the Zealots are attacking over here. That's rough. Good game though. That was a fun little match. We had. I feel like that fight here was a pretty defining fight for the game. Let's see if I can go back here and like really analyze this. Do a little bit of a battle breakdown. Like up to this point, both sides are pretty much even, 44 to 64 army supply. So that does favor the Terran. We also have 56 to 59 workers. So like their economies are about the same. Looks like, but Terran is behind on the base race. But yeah, we see. So what we saw was the Terran or the Protoss forces backing off, basically giving up this base in order to try to deal with this threat. Yeah, getting hit by that is definitely. I mean, like when you see all of your units like shine red, that's definitely not what you want. But again, that doesn't affect them until the shields are down, as far as I know. Like it only affects armor. So, but this. So having to back up, I'm waiting for these siege tanks too. The siege tanks are moving forward. Looks like so like a little bit of attack forward or attack move. This is a pretty good siege position, like all considering. I mean, this is a really good arc by especially this siege tank because not only can it really defend your units before they get attacked, but it can actually like harass this base over here. And with no shield batteries to support this force, I would argue that fighting this is just definitely a bad idea. I mean, Terran do have a lot of range units here. More Zealots do get warped in. More Zealots are definitely going to need to be warped in. Just take a look at this. We have a lot of these units here are already on the ropes, lost a lot of their shields with these Terran units doing a lot of shooting and scooting. But this is definitely not what you want. So that shield is basically just neutralizing what's left of the debuff right there. And again, that frustrating. I think these guys have charge. They do have charge, but it is on cooldown. And so that means these Zealots just can't catch up. All of these forces are getting properly helped by these medevacs that have energy. And pretty good split here, actually, to take out the siege tanks here, which are just obliterating these forces. Very dynamic play here. Like this is siege tank does go down, but there's, I mean, it's really difficult for a melee army to chase down a ranged army. One of the saving graces for the Protoss, though, is that the Terran, you see all of their hit points are low. That's just because they were stemming away. It does cost hit points in order to use that, but that does give them a damage buff as well as a movement buff. So, man, that debuff lasts a long time. So now once that debuff is gone, and we have reinforcements here. Army supply is 26 to 54. Some of the army supply could be locked into some of the production. No, that's is that really? That's the army supply right there. I think Marauders count as two people, or army supply 2. Marines count as 1. I don't know how many Archons it is, but like this is definitely oh, I don't want to say an underwhelming course, but let's see if we're gonna really zoom in here and get a view of how effective these Archons can be. Oh, well, I mean, we were until these guys like decided to run away. So yeah, good fight by both players. Definitely liked this game. Smart move by the Terran to come back here, just like not just knock out this economy, which is going to lower that, like it's just going to take time for that to recover, but coming back here and just knocking out these 3 tech buildings, which are required to build anything but zealots. Like that's a huge deal, and just well done. These forces are trying to get over there as fast as possible, and sure, like this Nexus gets built pretty quick, but this is really pushing Protoss on the ropes. So no more Dark Templar until that gets built. Yeah, see, just knocking these down really well. Even just ignoring this whole fight, like just incredible. Great play by the Protoss or Terran player. And then of course, like shortly, okay, we do have a proxy going on over here. I don't think Apple Juice plays as Terran or Protoss very much. Okay, so we do have like this fight going on here. Terran forces do get cleaned up, but where is it? Yeah, so here's the next fighting force. So before Protoss can even breathe, this happens. Just like one attack and then a second attack. So we had a jab. Well, I guess I wouldn't really call that a jab. That was basically like hitting the Protoss while they were on the ropes. But then we have this fight that happened here, knocking out a lot of those zealots, which just, I mean, like, and it sucks, right? When you're melee units and you're running back and forth trying to save your units, but you just get annihilated. And these guys have slow. Marauders, if you noticed, they hit a unit and they slow down significantly. That's what they get. They have like a little cryo effect on their ranged weapons, and they're very durable. So they just slow down that melee force and really just like bring everything out. They're just really big heavy hitters. Doing a fantastic job here cleaning this up. Slight missed opportunity though, knocking this down, but the sacrifice was made. Yeah. Bravo. Well played. I like that game. That was a good game. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and do watch out for your mental health and know that this is just a game, and make sure to spend time with your friends and family and loved ones. And know that this is the whole point of this game is to challenge you. It's to challenge your stress management, your resource management, your abilities, your focus, all of those things. Like this is supposed to be a stressful game against somebody else who's also dealing with that same amount of stress. So have a good day, guys.